What's up, guys? It's the Beefcake, the one and only, bulging out in nature. Sorry, it's been a while that I've uploaded. It was exam season, and then my phone broke, like right before I was gonna go home. So I had to wait for a while to get my sister's old iPhone. And yeah. And then I just stopped. I'll admit it, I just kind of got used to not uploading. But hey, I'm back, and I'm going to give you my top 10 movies of the year, and then I got some big news. Number 10 is going to be The Northman. This was directed by Robert Eggers. He made The Lighthouse and The Witch, as you know, and this is about Amuleth, a Viking getting revenge. It's a bit like The Revenant, story inspired by Hamlet, which of course was inspired by The Lion King. This movie is all about the experience. It's supposed to be it's the Viking blockbuster that was kind of missing in Hollywood, and it definitely delivered. I think this is as Viking blockbuster as it gets. All the performances were great, but even though it was like a great spectacle, which of course was at the helm of an auteur filmmaker, which was fantastic, and not the only movie on that list which is a blockbuster at the hands of an auteur, thankfully. But emotionally, it was not like the most profound thing ever. It was an action movie. It was an action movie, artfully done, and hey, that's what I want. For number 9, I'm going to go with Crimes of the Future. It was directed by David Cronenberg, and it's about this sort of performance artist in the near future where you can't really feel pain, or I guess he can't, and he's just removing organs because he doesn't need them anymore and he can get new ones. Pretty weird stuff, but pretty awesome. It's kind of about art. It's kind of about, your body. Listen, I don't really know what it's about, but it just really rocked because it's David Cronenberg, and he rocks. Like, what can I say? He just freaking crushes it every time. He's the GOAT. For number 8, I'm going to go with a sequel. I know what you're thinking. Ibrahim, you are just such a coward. You are giving in to Hollywood. You just put a sequel on your top 10 list. It should only be original A24 films. I'm sorry it's not After Sun. I'm sorry it's not The Eternal Daughter. But I'm going to put Glass Onion on here because guess what? It's a banger. All right? It's the sequel to Knives Out. And I really liked what the first one was doing about kind of privilege and all that. But with the sequel, they really went way harder on the politics. And not just the politics, but just sort of privilege and just the nonsense and the bullshit that you see every day. Particularly the bullshit that you see from, tech people or, CEOs, politicians, social media influencers, such as myself. But yeah, it was really funny, it was really great, and I really liked it more so than the first one. So yeah, Glass Onion, great movie. My number 7 is just like The Northman, as I said, a big budget movie at the helms of an auteur filmmaker. It's going to be Noah Baumbach's White Noise. Now, this is an adaptation of a kind of a modern classic novel where you follow this man who's a professor of Hitler studies and his family as there's this sort of chemical spill that creates this black smog over the sky, and they have to, you do what you got to do, and yeah, it's kind of about existentialism and coming to terms with death and all that. I saw this movie in the theater, and I think that if I had seen this on Netflix and not the movie theater, I don't think I would have put it on this list. Or it would have been at least lower on this list. But even though I don't really have existential thoughts or nihilistic thoughts that I used to anymore, or I couldn't come to terms with death and all that in existence, but I still really liked it, and I thought it was really well done. I thought Noah Baumbach was having a lot of fun behind the camera, which I never would have thought of him as that kind of guy. I never thought of him as someone who would have fun behind the camera. But he did. He really let his influences kind of do the talking. You got Spielberg, Hitchcock, De Palma, especially one scene, it was just straight out of a De Palma movie. Like, I think De Palma could sue. But no, it was great, and also extra points because Don Cheadle, kind of hot, not gonna lie. I never thought of him as in that way, but he was kind of attractive. Is that just me, or like? Number 6 is no different. It's going to be Babylon by Damien Chazelle. Very big budget, very big swing, and it seems to be a miss for quite a lot of people. It's basically about the transition time from the 20s and 30s, where we went from silent films to talkies. You got Brad Pitt, who's kind of a star of the talkie films. You got, Margot Robbie is trying to become a star, but you got the lead, who is a Mexican immigrant, who's just trying to do something. He's just trying to do something. I thought it was pretty crazy. It's very much been compared to Boogie Nights, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's like, I also heard Wolf of Wall Street. I also heard like a bunch of film bro movies, and I was like, okay, I get it. But it was a lot like Boogie Nights, a little too much like Boogie Nights, to the point where there were kind of these emotional moments, and it would literally be like a reference to another movie, and it totally took away from it. But when I think of the movie at the end of the day, I just think about the ending. And the ending, so well communicated, just a love for film, the history of film. And as someone who cares a lot about that, the ending kind of just completely made the movie. I absolutely loved it. It's a shame that a movie like that is flopping, because I think it's really important that we give directors like Damien Chazelle, people who have really strong visions, a lot of money. Because if not him, it's going to be some other hack. And I don't want that. I like movies like this. I just want to mention that I've been walking down this greenway, and I had no idea it led to this park I used to go to all the time when I was a kid. Not bad. Not a bad discovery. Number 5 is going to go to, I think, a lot of people's favorite movie of the year, kind of I would say the movie of the year for sure, which is Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is a movie about a old lady who runs a laundromat, played by Michelle Yeoh, Chinese immigrant, and she's got to look back. She's in a very crazy situation, where she has to kind of look at the alternative paths she could have taken in her lifetime. This is a movie, like White Noise, kind of exploring existentialism and nihilism, while also exploring generational trauma. I thought that this movie was really surprising. It was really great. I saw this movie at the peak of its hype. I was a little not as hyped up as other people were, but I'd love to rewatch it now that the hype has gone down. The Daniels direction is so off the wall, so crazy. You can tell that they have directed those kind of crazy music videos they were famous for, like the Turn Down for What music video and such. Michelle Yeoh, just such a great performance, as well as the other actors, really. And through this sort of, with like a budget of $20 million, it feels so grand, it feels so big, and it's so genuine. It's not a cynical film in the slightest. It's not a cynical fiber in its body. It could have come off as cheesy for me sometimes, and the way it explores nihilism also felt a little bit like it was introducing it to a child. But hey, I don't mind an intro to nihilism course for children. I say give it to them. Show Everything Everywhere All at Once to kids. And yeah, I love this movie. Guess where I am? Yup. We've been talking about a lot of movies that are kind of fun and stuff, and I know what you're thinking, like, where are the sad movies at? Number 4 is Ambulance. It says so much about healthcare in America, and it's like, dude, like if I fell from here, like, what would happen to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, Ambulance is a movie directed by Michael Bay. I made a video about this, so I won't say too much. But it's kind of about this vet who needs experimental surgery for his wife, or she'll die. And hey, he's been done dirty, just like so many veterans. And you know, he's like, bro, I should just die, shouldn't I? Well, he goes to his brother, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and this is Yahya Abdul Mateen II. And he's basically saying, look, I'm your brother, Jake Gyllenhaal, and we're gonna rob a bank. Next thing you know, they steal an ambulance with someone inside, an injured cop, and Elia Gonzalez. Dude, it's just the most thrilling, epic thing ever. It's so good, it's so awesome, and it honestly didn't do that well at the box office, which is kind of crazy. It's Michael Bay's best movie. It's a great movie. It's really fun. I'm not even joking. It is my 4th favorite of the year. It rocked. And for my number 3, it's going to be Avatar: The Way of the Water. It's the sequel to the biggest movie ever, and it's basically just the Avatar gang needing to go to a water tribe for refuge, and they're sort of exploring another culture. You know, the first film was Save the Trees. This one is Save the Ocean. The story I found to be just way better. I think it's better than Terminator 2. I think it's better than freaking Aliens. He outdid himself. Jim outdid himself. Obviously, the special effects, they're just the best. They're just the GOAT special effects. But not just that. Like, the story was good. It felt like it was building a lot of things. Like, I could kind of see the future of the 4th, 5th movie. But it didn't feel like Dune, where it felt like it was only part 1. It still felt like an actual story. It still felt like it was building off of the sequel while having a complete story in itself. I think it planted seeds very well, and it also satisfied me in terms of the story. It satisfied me with special effects, and it satisfied me through anal sex. It's getting dark, dude. I'm getting kind of scared, dude. Number 2 is gonna be Tar. I thought Tar was just incredible. It stars Cate Blanchett, directed by Todd Field. It's about this conductor, musical conductor, played by Cate Blanchett, who she's regarded as the GOAT. She's regarded as just a total queen, and turns out she's not the coolest cat of them all. And we sort of see this movie, this story that's about power and about public shaming and cancel culture, to be quite frank. I found it to be such a great slow burn. This is another movie that I think would have been bad to see anywhere but a theater. I think that I wouldn't have been so focused on the little details of the film, and I wouldn't have been so riveted by things like the sound design and the sort of cinematography if it had been on freaking Hulu. You don't need to hear me praise Cate Blanchett. You don't need to hear me praise Todd Field's direction. But frankly, it's just astounding how well things kind of wrap up at the end. I said Babylon was my favorite ending. It is. But Tar's ending was such a kick to the nuts. It was so good. You got to give it a watch. Definitely a film bro movie, if I've ever seen one. For women, though. As a director would say, we're losing sun. Well, it got a little too dark. I'm just gonna have to finish this indoors. My favorite movie of 2022 has to go to Park Chan-wook's Decision to Leave. Decision to Leave is about a cop who's kind of seen it all, done it all, very decorated, very celebrated, and he has to do this seemingly not so complicated case of a guy who died from falling off the mountaintop. He asks the widow, and he catches feelings, despite her being very sus. It's a great movie about love and how love kind of clouds your brain, how it screws you up, trips you over, slaps you in the face. But you just keep coming for more, damn it. And I love that they're using a police procedural film, which is a very like, okay, we're gonna do this. We have this case. Here are the facts. Here are the facts. I need facts. It's all about fact. It's all about taking the right steps that have already been written out for you. But once love is put in the equation, it makes things not go as easy as it should. I think there's something very profound with that. And when you put in Park Chan-wook's incredible directing, I mean, he's up there with De Palma, with just doing Hitchcock better than Hitchcock. Now, this is very much inspired by Vertigo, which is a movie I like, but Decision to Leave, I think, is just so much better. I really, really loved, I think the first half of that movie was like a 10 out of 10. It was so funny, it was so great, it was so powerful, but then it almost becomes a new movie in the second half. I won't spoil too much, but I didn't love it so much, but I did like it. I thought it was pretty good, and I liked the ending of it. It was really funny, it was really, really well directed. I can't stress it enough. Really great shots of like iPhones, really interesting way of shooting like an interrogation scene. Really beautiful film. It's easily my number one. Now, I said that I had big news, and well, I do. This year, 2023, I'm gonna make a feature film. I actually wanted to make one last year. I didn't have a script or anything, but I just thought, like, what if I just shot this? You know, and it won't come out great, obviously, but I just want to make a movie so I can make a movie. Fortunately, I didn't have the time for it, but I think this year I totally will. It's very no budget, very contained, but I think I can do it. I know I can do it. And I think that me saying that I'm going to make a movie makes me more motivated, because if I don't make a movie, everyone will unsubscribe. I mean, would you subscribe to someone who says that they're gonna make a movie and then doesn't? I would hit unsubscribe like there was no tomorrow. So yeah, I'm gonna make a movie. I won't say too much about it, but I'm excited for you guys to see it, and hopefully it's a lot sooner than later. Well guys, that's the end of the video. Hope you like and subscribe. Really excited for this year. I think the videos are going to be a lot better. See you around.